and welcome to episode 140 of the Graceful Tangle podcast. I'm Amy Kate. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am actually filming this on Easter Sunday, so I hope that you have all had a wonderful weekend. It's now past, obviously, since this podcast is out, but I hope that you all had such a beautiful weekend. The weather is perfect today, and we can celebrate the fact that Jesus Christ died on the cross, paid the ultimate price for all of our sins, but then rose again 3 days later and overcame death and the grave. And I am so grateful for that truth, that promise that we can live with him if we accept that in heaven one day. So anyways, I hope that you all had a beautiful weekend. I am super excited to jump into this week's podcast episode. I don't have a ton to share, kind of like last episode. I've been working on a few designs that will be coming out later this month and later in the summer. And then a huge blanket that kind of feels like it is never going to end, but I've said that every time. I am grateful to be making it, but it is just a project that is putting my patience to the test because it just takes so long. It takes so long. But anyways, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you have something fun to work on, something fun to snack on, something fun to drink. And let's go ahead and hop into the episode today with some finished objects. Okay, I have two FOs to share with you guys this week. The first is, I think I've shared these socks on the podcast before as a whip. I honestly can't remember. These are actually my mom's birthday gift. Now, my mom's birthday is not until October, the very end of October. However, I have truly made it my mission this year to be a little bit more on top of it in terms of gift knitting. It is something that I love so much, but I have developed an accidental habit that is not good of waiting until the last minute to make something. And the reason behind that is I want to make sure what I am making for that person is intentional, something they're going to use. And you know, I try to be intentional about it. I try to think about that person while I'm making it, etc. But my mom has kind of found like the sock style that like the hand knit sock style that she loves so much, and so I knew like automatically what I was gonna make her for her birthday in the fall. So I went ahead and made them. I started them quite a while ago. I also will say that I really like having something completely mindless on the needles, and socks is like my go-to for that, and so that's kind of another reason I went ahead and made these. I needed socks for something, I don't even remember what at this point, and it seemed like a better decision to cast on something for her for later, and kind of get that out of the way versus casting on a random pair of vanilla socks for myself. So a very long-winded way of saying that these are for my mom and I'll be giving them to her on her birthday. But I used my Success Socks pattern, which is just a cuff down vanilla sock recipe. Start up here and then work your way all the way down through the toe, and then it has an afterthought heel, but you could also interchange that with whatever heel that you prefer, and instructions are included in the pattern for how to do that. But yeah, my mom really likes the ankle length with a stretchy cuff and a short rib. And then this yarn just made me think of her. It's Knit Picks Felici self-striping. I love the color palette so much, and I know that she's going to as well. And like I said, her birthday is in October, so it's like the perfect time to give her a pair of socks with this palette. I just kind of think of fall and like Thanksgiving and the leaves and like cabins when I see all these colors together. I love it so much. It's like instantly cozy. I don't remember the name of this colorway, although that one doesn't have the label either. Yeah, I don't think I have another scan of it either, so apologies for that. Honestly, they probably don't sell it anymore anyways. Felici they come out with like a new line of colors. I believe it's once or twice a year, and then sometimes they don't have those colorways again, so I'm not sure. I do believe this one was called like maybe desert something, or I don't know, something along those lines. But anyways, those are complete. I did use Knit Pick Stroll in Dove Heather for the afterthought heels, and I really like that. I really like using a solid color for the heels if I'm doing a self-striping yarn. I really like the way that looks. So yeah, there's those. I'm actually gonna need to purchase some more Stroll, I think, because I am down to like one skein of this Dove Heather and I do not have much of it left. And I really like the look of solid heels, so I think I need to keep a couple of those in my stash. But anyways, those are now complete. And then the other finished object that I have is actually kind of a design as well. I updated my Tunisian trusty Tunisian tea pattern and relaunched it this past week. And so I also finished my sample, my second sample, like last week to kind of prepare for that. So here's what that looks like. It's just a really basic crochet tea pattern that uses the Tunisian simple stitch. We crochet Brava tweed worsted for this sample, and I love the way that it turned out. I've talked about this yarn many times. I absolutely love it. I love tweed yarns, and Brava is like my favorite acrylic ever. I also, just so you know, I washed this in the washer and dried it in the dryer, and it turned out so good. I love the way that it turned out. It's like super kind of drapey, much drapier than it was when I first finished it. It's not near as stiff. It did not shrink at all. I will say that I wouldn't, like if I were to wear this a lot and wash it every time I wore it, which I wouldn't really recommend anyway for handmade sweaters, but if I were to do that, I would not keep washing it in the washer and dryer because it would quickly show wear, I think. But just one time is totally fine. And then if I were to wash it again, I would probably wash it in the washer, fluff it in the dryer for like 5 minutes, and then dry it, like air dry it the rest of the way. So anyways, if that's helpful at all, but it is acrylic, so that's why. I mean, obviously if you're using a different fiber, I would not recommend that necessarily, depending on what fiber you're using, but for this it worked out great. No issues with like the acrylic melting or anything like that either. So anyways, that is now complete. I really like the way that it turned out. I really love the look of Tunisian simple stitch, like a lot. I actually want to make some like hand towels or something with this stitch. I think that would be really fun with like a cotton yarn. So anyways, I might do that later this year, but regardless, this turned out great, and so that pattern is now updated. It's also on the blog. It was not on the blog before, so you can find it for free on the blog if you like to kind of reference it that way, and I will link that down below. But the updated PDF is available through Ravelry and Etsy as well if you'd like to purchase it. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. I launched it, kind of relaunched it and had it for free for a day, and lots and lots of people downloaded it, so thank you so much for that support. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think that is it for FOs. I do have one work in progress to share, and I believe that you can guess what it is. But we will chat about it anyways. And then a couple of really fun designs that are going to be launching in the next couple of weeks as well. So let's go ahead and move right along. Alrighty, the only whip that I am currently working on is this blanket. I am making this for a commission for one of my grandmother's friends, and here's what it looks like. It has grown since the last podcast episode, for sure. It is now, I think I'm about halfway done. I need to measure. Maybe not quite halfway. This is also probably going to really aggressively change the lighting, so I apologize for that. Anyways, I need to measure it. I need to figure out, it's going to be 50 by 60 inches, and this has got to be close to 30, right? Right, it's got to be close to 30. So anyways, it's growing. It's just slow going. That's all there is to it. I'm using size 11 needles and a super bulky yarn, so it is kind of rough on your hands, and it's also completely seed stitch. So it's alternating between knit and purl every single stitch, which we all know results in a lovely fabric, but is kind of time consuming to knit. So yeah, it's also not super mindless, which is kind of frustrating. I can do it very well if I'm like watching a movie or a show or something, which is what I've been doing with my brothers lately. But I can't like read and knit on this, which is a little frustrating. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to like find the time to do it because it is just super boring, honestly, to sit here and knit on this project with nothing else. Like nothing, no show or whatever. And I don't want to watch too many shows. So, it's kind of just, it just takes a while. Like, it's truly that simple. It takes a while. But regardless, it's growing. It's growing slowly but surely. I'm very, very, very excited and hopeful to have it done. I am still kind of trying to get it done in the month of April. We're also going to be traveling down there in June. And so, as long as it's done, like, 100% by then, that'll be sufficient, and then I won't have to worry about shipping either. So that's probably what I should plan on anyway, considering it's already been like, too long of me working on this. But, there's not a strict deadline, and so I have definitely taken that and run with it in this case. but that's okay. She also lives in Gulf Shores, so you know, you're not going to be using a super bulky blanket in 90-degree heat, unless your air is on like 65, which it very well might be. But anyway, it's going to get done eventually. I'll be so happy when it's off my plate, just to be honest. But it is going well. Really quickly, I am using Lion Brand Thick and Quick, I think. Woolies Thick and Quick. This colorway is navy. Patrol, I'm not sure which, blue. I was going to give you a color name, and color number is 109Y, if that's helpful at all. It's a really perfect navy, I will say that. And I really like this yarn a lot. It's just, if I had to choose, I would choose a larger needle size to make it easier on your hands and more drapey of a like blanket of a project. I would also love to crochet with it with a really large hook, because I just feel like that would go so fast. It would be a really fun way to make like a super chunky oversized sweater or even a blanket. So yeah, that's kind of my frustration behind this, because I'm just meeting this person's requirements. Like, she really wanted the tight gauge, but it's just hard on your hands. So anyway, but like I said, it is growing slowly but surely, and it will get done. It will get done sooner rather than later. And then I will be releasing that pattern. If anybody is interested in it, it will probably be a free pattern because it's super simple. But yeah, I mean, I'm not using a pattern for it, so I thought I might as well just write it up and post it at least on the blog. So I do plan to do that. And then the pattern will probably release in either May or June, so you can stay tuned for that as well. Alright, I do have 2 designs that I am super excited about, so let's chat about those for a few minutes. Alrighty, so literally right now I am in the process of planning summer designs. I'm gonna have quite a few dishcloth patterns releasing soon, which is gonna be so fun. Kind of fun and simple, quick projects to do like in the summertime. So I'm very excited about that. I'm also kind of toying around with the idea of doing something for like a gift knitting, maybe like a make-along or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in, because I would love to just kind of inspire other people to make some gifts during the summer, like small things like hats, socks, things that are not going to be not fun to work on when it's so hot, but that you can kind of get ahead for the fall season, because it is definitely the busiest. So kind of toying around with a few of those ideas, like those. However, I do have 2 new patterns launching later this month, and the first is going to be this cowl. I used a Crochet billow yarn for this, which is a bulky weight cotton yarn, and I am obsessed with how this turned out. I think it's so pretty. I love the stitch. I'm definitely going to be releasing more patterns with the same stitch. It's very lacy and open, and just super intuitive. It's a 2-row repeat. You could also easily customize this cowl to be like as long as you wanted, but I really like a single loop cowl, and here's what it looks like on as well, and I just love it. I love it. I think it turned out so cute. So this pattern is going to be releasing later this week in just a couple days, which is very, very fun. And then I have a new sock pattern coming out later this month, so the week after this one, right? Is there only 2 weeks left in April? That is wild. I think that's right, because I think that's kind of how I tried to calculate it. No, I think there might be one more. Regardless, this pattern is going to be coming out later this month as well, and it is a toe-up version of my Success Socks pattern. So this is something that I have been wanting to do for so long. I have wanted to conquer toe-up socks for quite a while now, and then alter the Success Socks pattern just a little bit to accommodate for that for other makers, and that is exactly what I have done. So here is the first sample. I worked on this all last week, drafted the pattern, got it ready, all of those fun things, and then I'm going to be releasing a tutorial on at the same time of this pattern release for the toe portion. So it won't be a complete tutorial on the socks themselves, because I already have those patterns available. I have a tutorial for the afterthought heel, and then once you get past the toe, it's like the same for the cuff down socks, and then I'm going to release a video on how I do my personal favorite stretchy cast off or bind off as well. So anyway, those 2 new tutorials are going to release around the same time as this sock pattern. They'll be linked in the pattern itself, so that's why. But yeah, I'm super excited about this pattern. Like I said, it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. Next up for socks, I want to release like small patterns for different types of heels. So like a German short row heel pattern and then a heel flopping gusset, I'm thinking. So we'll see. I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to do those yet, but they are definitely like in the queue in my mind of things. Sorry, I have like a eyelash issue going on. Anyway, they're definitely in the queue of things that I would like to release soon. So anyways, and then also this yarn, I have the tag. Ugh, it was on the floor. This is Night Owl Fibers. The colorway is Charlotte's Web, which is such a perfect name. So there's what the tag looks like. I actually got some questions on Instagram and I have not replied to those yet. So if you're watching, that's what this yarn is. It's by Night Owl Fibers in the colorway Charlotte's Web. I have had this for a while and it was actually a gift to begin with. So I am not sure if she is dying currently or if she even has this colorway available. But if so, I will link her shop down below and I will try to reply to those on Instagram as long as I don't forget as well. But anyways, really love these colors. I think they're so cute. It was so fun to make these socks. Yeah, and they worked up quick too. Yeah, such a good mindless project. It was very, very needed this week. It was a full week. So it was nice to have something mindless to work on in the midst of, you know, busy schedules. Alrighty, so that is it for all of the knit and crochet yarny content this week. But I do have a little devotional that I would love to share with you guys. I want to talk about an amazing book that I read this week. So let's chat about that for a little bit. Alrighty, so I read this book by Louis Giglio this week. It is called I Am Not, But I Know I Am. It's kind of a tricky title. Like, you kind of have to read it a couple times for it to even settle in, and it didn't before I even purchased the book. I found this at Second & Charles, which if you are not familiar with Second & Charles, it is a store that I could spend all day long in. It's a used bookstore, but it's like super organized. They're typically huge. Like, there's so many books to choose from, and the prices, I mean, sometimes they can be more expensive, but I typically go for ones that are either like marked down to begin with or just used, and so they're inexpensive because of that. This one was $4.50 if you're curious, and like new it would have cost, it looks like $14 if I'm reading that right. So, which I mean, it's worth that too. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I read a lot of books and it doesn't take me a lot of time to get through them, and so I don't want to spend, you know, a large amount of money frequently on mini books. All of that to say, I read this book this week, and it is hands down one of my favorite books I've ever read. It is so good. It is so good. And I feel like no matter what season of life you're in, as a Christian, if you are just striving to pursue God and to love Him with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and abide in Him and glorify Him, then this is just such an applicable book for you and your life and your walk with Christ. It is so good. It's so good. It's just packed with so much truth. And so kind of the overarching message, to just explain it a little bit, again, the title is I Am Not, But I Know I Am. And basically what it's talking about is our names are I am not. As in, I am not good enough. I am not worthy on my own. You know, I am not all of these things, but because I know I am, he kind of references Exodus when God talks to Moses through the burning bush. He says, Moses kind of asks the question, like, when God was telling him to go talk to Pharaoh to, you know, begin to free the Israelites from Egypt, Moses was asking God, you know, how am I equipped to do these things? Like, Moses, we know, had a speech impediment, so it was hard for him to even put words together to form sentences. How was he going to go talk to the king, the lowercase k king of Israel, of Egypt, excuse me. And God says, you're not, but I am who I am, is God's words. And so because I am is living inside of us, because we've accepted him into our hearts, by his power we can do all of these things. By his power inside of us we can overcome every trial and every temptation that this world will throw at us. Because of I am, we can be joyful in the midst of sorrow and pain. We can be excited in the midst of confusion. We can be hopeful when we don't know what lies ahead. We can open, you know, surrender our future to him because he lives inside of us. And so that's kind of like the overarching message of this book. And I kind of underlined quite a bit and just just enjoyed the book so much. But a few things that I thought I would just point out were actually at the very beginning of the book. The title doesn't make a whole lot of sense like when you first read it, but when you get just a chapter in, it just all clicks and you're like, yeah, it's just it's so good. But one of the things that he says, to quote the book, let's see, there's a couple sentences I want to share. Okay, so first, quote, I am not, I am, or in short, I am not. To say it differently, God's name is I have always been and always will be God, and my name, so that is, Amy Kate, my name is I have never been and never will be God. My name is I am not. And then moving down like further, a little bit more in that same page, this is kind of when he's like introducing the topic of I am not, kind of showing where, like how he first had the revelation, I guess, what inspired him to share this message. He says, yet the fact that our names are I am not does not require us to put ourselves down, but rather to embrace the fact that we have already achieved the greatest heights because we know I am. You have huge dreams and giant goals, and what fuels you on the journey is the belief that you can do more, achieve more, be more, and then me adding on to that, all because he lives inside of us, all because we know I am, all because we are striving to glorify him. We can do all of these things. Our hopes matter to him, our desires matter to him. He sees our hearts. Nobody else can see our hearts, but he does. And all of those little dreams, all of those little visions that we might have for our future, God knows, and he cares so deeply, and he just wants us to trust him, because as we trust him, our thoughts, our plans, our desires will align with his will for our lives. I so confidently believe that. And even if not, even if our lives don't look exactly how they thought they would, he's still so good. And that's kind of another thing I wanted to mention. This is like such a random moment. But I was walking through Target a couple days ago, and I saw these plates, and it was like a display of plastic plates and plastic bowls, kind of targeting like college students, dorm life, apartments, stuff like that. And they were like, they're super cheap. It was like 50 cents for a plate or a bowl, and they're like in a cute color palette because it's Target and they know the best colors out there. Anyway, so I saw this display, and I was reminded like a couple of years ago when I was kind of expecting to move out of the house and to go to college and live in a dorm, all of those expectations. I graduated in 2020, so those things just did not happen like I thought they would. Anyway, but I kind of put together these like Google Docs of things that I was planning on purchasing when I moved out, and like I was definitely budgeting for it, like minimal cost, but things that I wanted to be sure that I had, like plates and bowls and silverware and stuff like that. Anyway, so I saw this display, and like I was kind of it was almost like a gut punch, like, oh, I remember when I wanted those. I remember when I was planning to purchase those. I remember why I was planning all of those things, and my life does not look like that, and it's kind of like, it's hard to kind of have that realization in the moment, but like instantaneously I had that thought, and then I was like, but look at what God has done in my life right now. I was definitely expecting to be out of the house by now, living on my own. Like that's something that I still really, really want to experience as soon as I can, but at the same time I am fully aware of what a blessing it is to have a place at home and to be able to make an income and save and be with my family in this season of life and all of those beautiful things. So just kind of like referencing that book a little bit, referencing that moment. I also shared that on Instagram stories and got so many beautiful replies that I was not expecting. So just kind of in the midst of sharing those couple of things, just some encouragement. So often our lives are not going to look how we thought they would. The overarching vision might still be there. Like for me, that is to be a wife and a mom and homeschool my kids and run this business, this community on the side. Like that has been my hope for years. I'm still so confident that I'm like on the right path for that, and that is God's plan for my life. But at the same time, I was so beautifully reminded this week that even if our lives don't look like what they thought they were going to, at 20 years old, I'm 20 now, my life doesn't look like I thought it might when I was 18, thinking about what it might be like when I'm 20, but it's still so good, and God is so faithful, and he wants what is best for us, and his plans are good, and we love him, and we are called according to his purpose, and because of that, all things are going to work out for our good. One of my favorite verses, Romans 8:28, says that thing, and yeah, it's just such an encouragement daily to bask in the beauty of the truth of that verse. So anyways, a long-winded way of saying he is good, he is faithful. We should trust him completely and just be joyful in the fact that we are not, but he is. Anyways, I hope that was an encouragement for you today. Kind of a little bit longer of a devotional segment than usual, I think. But like I said, I pray that it brought encouragement. I pray that it is a light to you, because that is my prayer for this channel as a whole, for it to just be a way to share everything that I'm making and encourage you in your own crafts, but also give all the glory to him, because that is my heart and my mission for this life. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would love to have you here. Be sure to check out all of the links in the description box below for the places where you can find me on social media, pattern shops, some things that I'm talking about today. I will link to that book as well if you'd like to check it out, and then the tea pattern, and yeah, there'll be a couple of other random links down there I'm sure that I am forgetting as of this very moment, but assuming I remember, they will all be down there. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you all have a wonderful week filled with so much making and so much joy and so much peace. Thank you so much, and I will see you all again next time. Bye.